Okay, good morning and good Chodesh, everyone. Today is Tuesday, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, the first day of Sivan, the day that all Jewish people were united as one, Keish Echad B'Leiv Echad. And we're continuing today in the Tanya, chapter 52. And we left off yesterday with a question about a godly revelation in this world. How does it happen? We're going to be talking today about the godly universal brain, universal godly brain. And we explained out the Rebbe said in the Tanya that there is just like the function of the brain in the person, in the body, serves as a bridge, so to speak, from the soul to the body. The soul is too great, is not able to, does not have the limitations of the body, and cannot be even considered a source of the body, because it's beyond any of the definitions of the body. So the soul is aloof, the soul is beyond everything. And the soul comes into the brain in form of becoming a source for all the other functions of the body. And then you have the third stage is from the brain, it comes individual energy and powers to each organ that it needs, the eyes to see, the mouth to speak, and so on. Now, the thing is that the brain itself obviously is not revealed in the organs. The brain is beyond, it's only a very small part energy that comes from the brain into the organs. Similarly, the Alter Rebbe explained that when we're talking about the godly revelation into this world, so the endless godly essence cannot be revealed in the world the way it is. So it comes in a stop, is in the moichin, the godly moichin of this world. And what is the godly energy? That we revealed yesterday, the godly brain, the intellect, is the Torah and the mitzvahs. And this, the Torah, God's will, God's wisdom, is here in this world. And it has its original stop, so to speak, in the level, what we call the Malchus of Atzilus, the lowest level of the highest world of Atzilus. There, they call it he gave it 4 names, actually. This godly brain, so to speak, he gave it 4 names, that because each name has a separate function, what it does. So we give it the name of Alma de Isgalia, the revealed world, because this is the beginning of the revelation. He calls it Matronissa, the queen, just like certain things, functions that the queen does, it reveals and serves as a bridge from the king to the people. He calls it the mother, the nether mother. That's that the mother gives birth, the details. There is the higher mother, which is Chachma and Bina. Bina is the higher mother. And this is the lower mother. And he calls it Shechina. Shechina is the dwelling of the divine presence. And that is the source, this is the hub, from where all the functions, all the energy that comes to each individual creature, from the most spiritual levels to a piece of sand, everything receives its energy comes through the Shechina. Also, he said that the Shechina, this brain, so to speak, the Shechina, is also the source and root to Knesset Israel, to the Jewish souls. But that's a separate thing, because it does not go through the same filtering and process the way that all the rest of the creatures go through. Now, we ended up yesterday saying that the light that comes to from the Shekhinah needs to be only very, very small a part of it comes, a reduced light. The light itself cannot be revealed without a garment, without a covering, without something to conceal the light. Because if it would be that godly energy, the way it is in the brain, in the Shekhinah, if it comes down the way it is, the whole entire world will be completely nullified, will be non-existent. And I gave the example, just like the ray of the sun within the sun itself. In the sun itself, you don't have the sunlight. In the sun itself, the light is within the sun, completely nullified, does not have its own separate existence. So if the light of the Shekhinah, of this godly brain would be revealed, nothing would be existing. So what do you need to do? You need to have a garment. You need to have something to conceal, to cover. However, we have a problem. What's the problem? What can possibly serve as a garment to this endless godly energy? If anything, if you're saying that this godly energy is limitless and is infinite and nothing can exist in its presence, so what about the garment itself? Something you're saying you need something to conceal that godliness. Wouldn't the garment itself be completely nullified in its entire existence in the source, the godly energy? So this is what the Alter Rebbe is going to explain now. He's going to say that there is such a garment that God created that has a complete, that's beyond understanding, but it is something that it is above. It is more powerful than the Shekhinah itself. And that is why it's not nullified in it. The energy that it has is more powerful, a greater level. It's in a greater level than the Shekhinah, than the brain itself. This is the garment. But in the same time, it is something that God gave it the physical limitations. And that is the Torah. The Torah, being that this is the wisdom and will of Hashem, it explains God's wisdom is beyond our wisdom. It's not the same kind of wisdom. He and his wisdom are one. So when he gave his wisdom and his will, which is beyond and above, way above the idea of the Shekhinah, the godly presence, the way it is in the Shekhinah, that can serve as a garment. That is why it is not nullified in the light of the Shekhinah. And in the same time, it is something that God gave in a way that with his infinite abilities, is able to take this infinite wisdom and infinite and essential will and to lower it down, to bring it down into this physical clothings. Because he's not limited by him, physical and spiritual is all the same when you're talking about the essence of Hashem. So he's able to in the Torah, it has both extremes. That's how powerful the Torah is. Now we're going to receive the Torah and Shavuos. You can appreciate why the Rebbe encourages us to come and to bring the kids and even babies to come to listen to the 10 Commandments. This is the giving of the Torah. It's Hashem giving himself in the Torah. So this is what the Alter Rebbe is going to explain in today's lesson. So let's look inside. Says the Alter Rebbe. ומהו הלבוש שיוכל להסתירה ולהלבישה ולא יסבטל במציאות בעירה? What is the garment which is able to conceal and clothe it, the Shekhinah, yet will not itself be completely nullified within its light. Anything which conceals would be nullified, wouldn't it? That's what Alter Rebbe explains. This is God's, this is his blessed will and wisdom and so forth, which are clothed in the Torah and its mitzvahs that are revealed to us and our children. So why are God's will and wisdom and so forth able to act as a concealing garment for the light of the Shekhinah without themselves being nullified by it? That's what we explained. Because Hashem's wisdom is beyond and above the Shekhinah, which is called Alma de Isgalia, the revealed world. Hashem's wisdom comes from the Chochma Ilah. It says the Torah comes from Hashem's wisdom. The Iraisa Chochma Nafkes, for the Torah issues from the wisdom, He Chochma Ilah, namely the Chochma Ilah, the supernal wisdom. Supernal wisdom, this refers to the level of Chochma of Atzilus, the first level of the world of Atzilus, where the Shekhinah is, of course, the Malchus of Atzilus, the lowest level. That is immeasurably higher than the world of manifestation, which is the Shekhinah. And when we're talking about Hashem's wisdom, God's wisdom is not like human wisdom. That we explained in the chapter 2 in the Tanya, that Hashem and his wisdom and the knowledge, it's all one. He doesn't know something as an external thing that is added to him, God forbid, but it's him and what he knows and his wisdom, that's all one. And as we explained, the Rambam says this is something that is beyond our comprehension. And that's what he says, the Yuchakim v'lo b'chochma yediyah. For he is wise with the wisdom of Chachma of Atzilus, but not with a knowledgeable, with a knowable wisdom and so forth. Ukemoshin is ba'el, as explained earlier, she'oir ein soiv baruch hu, melubush u'meyuchad b'chachma ilah, v'hu yisbarech v'chachma seyechad. As we previously been explained, that the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof is clothed in and united with the supernal wisdom, and he and his wisdom are one. Okay, so if he and his wisdom are one, and he is in the Torah, then what's happening now? Well, how do we get it? How do we get the Torah not being completely nullified within this great light of the Torah itself? That's what Alter Rebbe is going to explain, that the Torah, Hashem, in his greatness, in his infinity, was able to get this Torah and bring it down from level to level into physical garments. That means that the Torah and the mitzvahs are clothed in physical actions. Hashem's will is that we should take a physical piece of parchment and make it a mezuzah and put it into tefillin with physical objects. We study with our intellect, with our human intellect, the God's wisdom. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. Rak sheyoda b'seiser hamadrigas mimadriga lemadriga behishtalshelus ha'olamis. Only this is because the supernal wisdom and the Torah has descended by means of obscuring gradation from a higher grade to a lower grade, with the descent of the worlds until it has clothed itself in material things. The Torah clothes itself in material things, namely the 613 commandments of the Torah. We're talking about physical mitzvahs connected with physical things. This is why the Torah is also compared to water. As it says, Oikol tzameh lachul hamayim. So the water, it says just like water, is something that comes from above. When you give a flow of water, when you give water that comes from the top of the mountain, it's the same exact water that is on the bottom. Unlike other types of influence, for example, the wisdom. If you want to give wisdom over, it's not the same wisdom that is in the teacher comes into the student. It's reduced. It's more a reduced level of wisdom. But the Torah is water because the same Torah, the same holiness, and the godly will and godly wisdom that is up in the highest world has come down here to this physical world. And by us studying the Torah, by us doing the mitzvahs, we connect with the Torah itself. And we can then thereby connecting with God himself, because the Torah and Hashem is all one. So this is how it works. This is how the system works. The universal godly brain. I'm going to explain tomorrow also how it is in different worlds has its brain. It's generally divided into four worlds. The world of Atzilus has the brain of Atzilus, the Chachma of Atzilus. And each world, the Briya, Yetzirah, Siya, each world has its brain, its godly brain, from which becomes the source of the energy, a source of everything in this world. That is why through the Torah, this world is run. It's not just a matter of, okay, you study Torah, you get rewarded. That is the source of everything. The Torah is the source of everything. Through the Torah, everything in this world can exist and can sustain. So this is the end of today's shir. Wishing you all a good Chodesh, and we shall continue tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem. Any questions?